Good afternoon once again. My name is Kathy Neifeld. I am one of the partners at Agency One. And on behalf of Agency One and our colleagues and friends at BSMG and BUA, I would like to welcome all of the attendees to uh, the fifth part of a four-part series um, presented by John Hancock, specifically Mark Berry, on the B.O.S.S system, which stands for Business Owner Solutions Systems. We have been privileged to host Mark on four other occasions. Initially, this was a four-part series, but John Hancock has expanded the offering under their B.O.S.S system to include a fifth module, and we are privileged enough that Mark was able to make himself available to discuss with us today guaranteed issue for key executives and how to recruit, retain, and reward your key employees. Mark Berry is the Variable Life Vice President at John Hancock, and he's responsible for working with internal and external sales organizations to facilitate the development and optimization of product placement and growth of sales across John Hancock's customer base. Uh, Everything regarding B.O.S.S points back to Mark Berry. We have been, as I said, privileged to have him speak with us on four other occasions. All of those webinars have been recorded and are on our website. So if you would like a refresher on the B.O.S.S system and as it relates to employees or business partners or families of the business partners, or perhaps the heirs of the business partners, please go onto the Agency One website and you can access those recordings or contact Lisa Mitchell, and she will be happy to point you in the right direction. As in other webinars, please feel free to ask questions, type them into the Q&A. I will address them with Mark, hopefully as they come in, if there is an appropriate time to interrupt Mark, or we will address them at the end. This webinar should take approximately 30 minutes. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mark. And just one other thing, please stay on at the end because Lisa will have some important announcements regarding what is coming up from a marketing standpoint on behalf of Agency One throughout the month of October. So Mark, thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, Kathy, thank you. And I do like the way you said that, the part five of a four-part series. And for those of you that have joined me throughout this, welcome back. If there's anybody new here, I hope you will go back and look at some of the modules to kind of reset this. What this originally was a tool that I used when I was a planner to really help me keep up with all the different ways that we could talk to a business owner and embrace them holistically about all the solutions we could provide, especially when it comes to life insurance. And so we're going to go through this presentation. It's a multi-life presentation about our multi-life offering in our employer solutions area. It is a standalone presentation. So we have gotten one that is client approved if we can ever help you with that. And if it's something that would be useful for you, we do have a client approved version of this. And so you'll see it, what I mean by that, because we do at the beginning go through what the B.O.S.S presentation is. So let's go back to our classic blank screen. I hope you all remember what that is. This is really taking out that blank piece of paper and having a conversation with a business owner. And so, once again, we're going to draw the circle, put the boss right in the middle. And as Kathy said, that is the acronym for Business Owner Solution System. Some people have told me that's pretty cheesy, but it does work. And so, just as a refresher, just real quick, we'll go through the four groups of people that a business owner typically is concerned with or wants to plan for. The top of mind, of course, are the employees. The business partners are to the right. The foundation of their planning would be their family. And then, of course, to the left would be their heirs. So again, if you've joined us for those, you know what all of these are and what the discussions are. And so, we're going to focus then today on the employees, this idea of the key person and the retention of that employee. That's really going to be the focus. Again, refreshing partners, it was buy sells, family, we talked about income replacement and retirement planning, and then for heirs, it was estate and charity. So, getting to the crux of this presentation today and the wheel, some people have called it, we're going to focus on this tranche right here. This idea of what can we help a business owner with to recruit, retain, and reward these key people. Because it's one thing to have a key person policy if there was an untimely death of a key person, that infusion of cash that goes into the business. But as we said before, if you've seen that presentation, the thing about a key person is we're not just worried about them dying too soon. Worried about them leaving too soon. And that's really the story here is what can we do to help this business owner really understand the things they can do. And so, in this world here, when it comes to solutions, there's many. These are probably the most well known, as many of you know, is the Section 162s, the SERPs, deferred comps. These are the typical solutions that are offered there. But as you know, when it comes to product around this wheel, it takes a lot of different products to solve all of these. And the same can be said here because not only are there single life offerings for this area, but this is really where you get into the simplified issue and even guaranteed issue offerings that are available out there. This is really the tranche that we're going after when it comes to those plays. And so I'm going to focus on the guaranteed issue offering and how this can be effective for them. And I want to share with you really a way that we at John Hancock have looked at this. As some of you may know, we're in this arena. We are working presently on getting it more streamlined as far as the process. We're trying to make a true digital process out of this, so your experience will be a lot less of the paper and the hassle and more streamlined offering. But we also looked at this market a little different and saw some ways to improve upon it. And so the first thing I'll mention is really that the three R's, again, this recruit, retain, and reward. You can even add retire to that as well, that a lot of small business owners would love for their key people to retire with them as well. And so what we typically offer when it comes to guaranteed issue is this idea of a life insurance policy with some cash value in it, like that cash deferred growth. Our tax deferred growth. We talk about that a lot. And this is really your spreadsheet world right here. There's many companies that you may deal with that offer guaranteed issue with life insurance and cash value. And that's the base. I would call this the table stakes of guaranteed issue, is that you'll have a lot of companies, and us included, right? We're certainly in that arena as well. But where we can differentiate and where we can help you with this story is really stacking on what I call the building blocks of this. And the first one I'll mention is the reassure block, right? And what do I mean by that? What I mean is we have a guaranteed issue offering that includes a chronic illness rider. Now, this would be for the employee owned structure. So typically, this would be your Section 162 bonus type play where the employer is bonusing the key executives some monies that are going into a life insurance policy. But on our GI offering now, we can offer a chronic illness rider. And that's a great story. If you really think about, some of the employees may not have any other type of chronic illness rider available on any of their policies. And so to be able to offer this on a guaranteed issue chassis is a great story. The other one I want to add to that, though, I call it the refresh block. And what do I mean by that? Some employers are going to have those employees that might be smokers that are thinking about quitting, right? Maybe they've talked about it or whatever. If you're not familiar with our quit smoking incentive that we have at John Hancock, the idea really is for those employees that want to give it a try, we're able to offer for the first 3 years non-smoker rates. And we'll talk a little more detail about how this works. but a great opportunity to talk to a small business owner that may have the occasional the smoker in there. If they want to take a try at it, we'd love to be a part of that and help them try to quit. So a little more on that in just a moment. And then the top of the pyramid is, of course, with John Hancock, is our vitality program. This revitalized idea where you're offering now stacking on top of the again the table stakes of recruit, retain, reward with the life insurance, but really now a type of almost a wellness benefit, a wellness program. So, getting into a little bit detail about these, starting from the bottom again, this idea of permanent life insurance, income tax free death benefit, tremendous story with that idea of cash value. And usually with Section 162, that's described as a retirement savings, right? That's monies that one day the employee will receive. They'll get that policy. The chronic illness rider, this is a big deal now, and I think many of you know this. You probably sell a lot of policies now with the living benefit riders. That idea of discussing the longevity risk that we all know and love that story very well, and being able to stack that on there again with the quit smoking incentive and then vitality, right? That's really the five building blocks there. So, starting with the first one, how our guaranteed issue program works. Like any guaranteed issue program, there are no medical questions. We all know how that works, and so that's the type of underwriting people do like. We are looking for that employee-employer relationship, and in our offering, we're looking for those executives typically earning 100,000 or more. And as you can see, there's the issue ages right there that you'll see the ages 20 to 65. And then the maximum death benefit is based on a table, which I'll share with you now. This is kind of the formula for it. So depending on the number of lives that you have, you simply multiply it times the multiplier there, and you've got your offering for each employee. So for example, if you had 40 lives, you would take 40 times the 65,000. We're talking about $2.6 million per employee. This would be a great offering. Sharing a little personal story with all of you. I'm sure you don't know this story, but my oldest son, when he was 2 years old, was diagnosed with a kidney disease, and so from that moment on, he is uninsurable. He cannot get life insurance, but through a group programs like this, there's a real chance he could, and that $2.6 million would be a significant amount of coverage for him. So we are talking about real numbers here with that. The chronic illness rider, I think this is something that I'm very excited about because of the way we structured it, is that we wanted it to be something that could pay for lots of things, not just the professional at-home care. It could pay for anything that's happening. And the way this works, of course, is that once someone's certified as chronically ill, it is a cash indemnity payout up to the IRS per diem. So this means, of course, you don't have to keep up with receipts. And the other nice thing is that if when they do go on claim, the rider charge is waived while they're on claim. So a really nice story there to offer to a business owner for their employees. The quit smoking incentive program, some of you may have been aware of this, but I've found that many aren't aware of it. You can do this on single life as well. We have this opportunity. So what we basically say to a smoker, if they're willing to try to quit, we can offer non-smoker rates for the first 3 years of the policy. So you get non-smoker rates. Within those first 3 years, if they can prove they've quit, obviously we'll need a specimen, a sample. And if there's no nicotine in there, then what will then happen is that if it's done during that first 3 years, the policy will then permanently go to a non-smoker rate. So that's a great, great story for a company that where healthy living is so important to us. We just feel like this is a great addition, and to be able to offer this on a guaranteed issue basis is a nice story. The vitality story, though, I think many of you know this story very, very well. I'm showing you a chart here. This is a slide that I usually would not show because it's really busy, but it's on purpose because the thing about vitality, for those of you that are familiar with it, it's so big now. You really can't get it all on one slide. There are so many offerings and so many things now that Vitality can bring to the table. Not only the premium savings that people like or more cash value in the policy, but access to Apple Watches and healthy food discounts and travel discounts and all of that. But there's a little more to this, and I think this is part of that story that when I've talked to business owners, this is what I would want them to hear is this idea of what it does for their employees from a health standpoint. And so, as many of you know, we just celebrated our 10th year with Vitality, and the numbers are strong. So we've gone back and gotten some of the data now as the feedback that we've gotten on the program. We're finding that, as you can see from some of this, 43% of the people reported a reduction in their BMI. Many have that had elevated cholesterol levels. It comes down. You can see some of the statistics on here. I think the strongest one is that, and this is on individual policies mainly, that 70% that once they get engaged in Vitality, they have remained engaged year after year. And this is that constant reminder of the advisor that brought this to them. And I think for a business owner to be able to say, "Hey, look, we're engaging with your employees, keeping them involved. The involvement is very high." It's just a great story when it comes to that recruit, retain, and reward. But there's even more, and I think this is the part that I think is important to talk to them about. And I don't know if many of you are aware of executive physicals and how much those are. There's some companies that offer that. Those are typically anywhere from $2,500 to $10,000 to do an executive physical. Not many small business owners can pay for that, would want to. And while we're not offering executive physicals, we are offering some features that seem that way. The Gallery test, for example, a multi-cancer early detection system that it detects up to 50 before undetectable cancers. Many of you have seen the story of Kelly King, who shared in a video that we made his story, his personal story, about how the Gallery test really caught a cancer extremely early for him, so early that they weren't used to catching it that early. We also have a whole body scan now, Prenuvo, that's a part of the Vitality program. And then the function test. It's the function health test, which it's a blood test, but it tests for things that you don't typically get from the doctor. I'll share a very personal story. My wife did this recently and they found something in there that her doctor had not been testing for that actually became important to know. So these early detection tests are a great thing to be able to go to an employer and say, you can bring this to your key executives as well. It's just a tremendous story. And so, I'll kind of wrap up here with this idea of, what do wellness benefits, workplace wellness benefits bring to employers? And so these are some survey results of employers that have done things like this. This isn't specific to Vitality, to be fair, but when they've done these wellness programs, what has it done for their business? And so the first thing is they found that employees were more engaged, right? They see this, that their employer and their company finds them to be important, and they're more engaged, which leads to lower absenteeism, which is a great thing for any employer to be able to talk about. Obviously, lower absenteeism leads to improved productivity, which also is interesting because I guess it makes sense, right? You would then have reduced workers' comp and disability claims, which lowers the healthcare costs, which in the end creates a situation where there's better retention and recruitment. And then you can see we've gone full circle, right? That's really the idea. And again, that's what we're trying to bring here with our guaranteed issue offering is this idea of a holistic approach to this business owner, kind of like we've done in the first four of these modules, where we look at the business owner holistically and look at all aspects of their lives. That's the idea with our guaranteed issue program too, is to really be able to have this business owner bring something like this to their employees and really take it to the next level. So with that, Kathy, I will turn this back over to you and see if there are any questions or outbursts about any of that.
I'm going to encourage everyone to submit questions if you've got any in the Q&A. I don't see any right now, but Mark, can you just highlight once again, if you've got an employee prospect, what the minimum is? I believe you said 10 lives. And is there a census? How do you go about getting this getting the case into the hands of the John Hancock life underwriters?
Yeah, and thank you for asking that, Kathy. That's a great question. We're trying to simplify this process. For those of you that have written these cases before, you probably know it's a lot of work. You do need to get a census, and certainly we need a census as well. But we can help you with that census. Get it to us in whatever format, whatever shape you can get, and it's the normal stuff, Kathy, as you can imagine. Obviously, you need names. We would like to have the titles of those employees and their dates of birth, the obviously the gender and things like that, and then smoker status, because we do have smoker and non-smoker rates available in here. But the other thing that we've developed and will be part of this program when we launch it officially, and what I mean by launch is when we get the digital process launch, which is coming soon. I think it's going to be fourth quarter of this year. And when we have this launch of this digital process, we're also going to unveil what I call a selling kit. I don't know, Kathy, if that's going to be the official marketing term for it. It's just what I've called it, where we're going to have a sheet that's a series of knockout questions that basically says if you can't answer yes to all of these questions, this probably isn't a guaranteed issue case. And it's amazing how much that could solve a lot of heartache too. Because as you probably know, when you've got this mindset that you have a case, you bring it, and then the underwriter has to be the one to say, uh, no, right, that's not really a case. You've wasted time. And so this questionnaire, it's a pre-qualification questionnaire that I think also will help. You can literally in 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, you can sit with a business owner and just go through these real quick, these questions, yes, no questions. And again, if you can't say yes to all of them, then it's probably not a case. And then the last thing I'll mention here too, to help with that selling process, is that if you remember the building blocks that I built out, we're going to have a one pager on each of those blocks too that helps describe what those are, because it is a little bit of a unique offering. I understand that. The chronic illness, for example, is not what you typically would see at a guaranteed issue offering. There'll be something on the quit smoking incentive, and certainly a one pager on the vitality offering for a guaranteed issue program as well.
Thank you. So I believe that you had said that the income requirements were $100,000. And Mark, I do not live in a black and white world at all. As soon as somebody says this is the requirement, I'm thinking, well, what if I get close, but I'm not exactly there? So how hard and fast is that? I mean, if I've got eight employees that are making 100 and I've got one employee that's making 90 and another that's making 95, and I realize there's all different variations that we could go through, but do we have any wiggle room here?
Yeah, so Kathy, you and I both live in that gray area of life, right? So what I would tell you is yes, the real key is going to be, can you answer yes to that, the knockout questions or pre-qualification questions. But if you've got something that close, certainly bring that to us, right? We definitely want to look at that. I don't think there's anything like a law or thing that says, okay, somebody's only making 95,000. What I will say is, if the average, if they're around 50 or 60,000, right, and only one is at 100, probably not. But when in doubt, bring it to us. Let us take a look, because I certainly think we would want to try, if we could, to make this case work for you.
Thank you. And Mark, do you see more success with certain types of professions? that if you've got certain groups, that they're more likely or to at least have the conversation and submit a census. And as our advisors are busy thinking about their book of business and their contacts, industries or that are more likely to think about this than not, or can it not be simplified? Is it not that easy?
Well, yes and no. I think the obvious ones would be your professional groups, right? Those are the ones that I think most people would say, yeah, they're the ones that would even have those groups of employees that are above that threshold. But, to me, this might be something that there's a Coley world, right? And I'm sure you're familiar with it, Kathy. Probably many people on this call that sell a lot of Coley, which is a very specialized world. It's interesting. This is not Coley exactly, right? This is really a world that what we think might be something that Coley isn't touching. There might be some interesting cases where maybe this business owner hasn't ever been approached about something like this. And so, I wouldn't really want to limit it to certain groups. I would say, and again, when you see the questionnaire, I think when you look at it and you see the things that we're looking for a yes on, that would really be the what I would drive it by is just those type of businesses that could do that. The toughest hurdle, obviously, and you've said it, Kathy, is the 10 employees, right? You do need 10 qualified employees that make that income threshold.
And then regarding the guaranteed issue limits, is that for personally owned policies versus corporate owned? So we're drawing a distinction between 162 bonus situations or collaterally assigned split dollar plans versus in you know deferred compensation and endorsement split dollar situations. Where does that guaranteed issue opportunity lie?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I think when you look at the formula for number of lives with the multiplier, that's irrelevant of whether it's employee owned or employer owned. That's the multiplier. I will say one important note, and this is important to know for employer owned, Kathy, for example, a SERP structure, the chronic illness rider would not make sense, right? That's not going to work in
Right.
that one. And that's why I was saying for that section 162 structure, that's where the chronic illness goes. But I will say, even for employer owned, Vitality does work. So because Vitality is an insured based rider. Okay, so the quit smoking incentive certainly could work, but Vitality works on all of those cases. So whether it's employer owned or employee owned, that would be available.
Thank you. Uh, I am not seeing any other questions. Obviously, if anybody that is listening to this call has any questions on this GI module within B.O.S. for key executives or any of the other modules as they related to employees, business partners, families, or their heirs, Mark is happy to address those questions, or we can put them on the spot. We've got a very talented expert from John Hancock on the call here. So if you have any questions as it relates to any of your John Hancock business, Mark would be certainly happy to answer them as well.
What I will say, Kathy, while we're waiting, is obviously all of you have a John Hancock representative that you know to reach out to. I would encourage you to look for something from us shortly, sometime in the fourth quarter, like I say, where we're going to have a launch call on this. You might even have to sit through this B.O.S. presentation again from me and on a national call because they are going to have me do this one again nationally. So a lot of you got this ahead of time. You were got the sneak peek really of where we're going with it. But do look for that because I would encourage you to try to listen in. If this is of interest to you, if you think this is a world that you would like to tackle, in my opinion, this is Mark Berry speaking. I think many of us have made guaranteed issue a little more complicated than it really is, and that's what we're trying to do is simplify it. We don't want a lot of surprises. We want to be very upfront. I think by again having that selling kit available to you that says, get with them, see if they can answer yes to all of these questions. Here's the other pieces that you can help describe this. Get us a census, right? And then let's see what we can do. I think it's something that even those that don't do it, Kathy, this might be something you could consider if you have the right customer, right clients for this.
100%. I think one of the things that we didn't cover, Mark, was what products are available
Oh, boy,
this
I'm so glad
on
you
this
asked that,
asset.
Kathy. This is why you're where you are today, Kathy. You keep us straight, don't you? Yes. So I'm glad you asked that. So this is going to be available both on our AIUL, so that's accumulation IUL, as well as our accumulation VUL. And many of you know there's going to be different situations where you're going to want one or the other, but it's available for both of those products. And these are our, for lack of a better term, our street products. These are our real AIUL, the real AVUL. It's not some type of guaranteed issue type policy. These are the true products that you know and love right now that are available to you.
And do those pro are within that product suite, are the cash value enhancement riders available?
Yes, they are. Great question as well. So the cash value enhancements are available. Again, been asked about this, about comparing it to COLI. As you know, COLI usually is that very high. We can get you up though with some of them into the 90, 95%. It's certainly not going to get you to 100, 102, whatever the COLI is out there now, but we can get you very close. So for those cases, definitely reach out to us. Help us. Let us help you get those illustrations fine tuned exactly like you'd like to, and we can really help you with that, especially if you have that early cash value need to do that.
And then once again, I know it's based on a formula and it's based on a multiple of what you're earning, but what's the minimum that can be issued and and is there a maximum for a face amount?
Maximum is 5 million. So I'm glad you asked that. And the minimum would be, and I'd have to pull up the multiplier again, but it's
Right.
the 10 times lives, 10 times the multiplier. And I don't have it memorized, Kathy. I always have to look at the screen, but certainly this will be available to everyone. If you have questions, you'll be able to see the illustration or the presentation, and we can also get you the marketing pieces that have this information. They're available for those of you that want to go ahead and look. It's in the JH Sales Hub. Those of you that are already signed up with us, or you can go to John Hancock Sales Hub, JH Sales Hub. Those flyers that I'm describing to you, some of them are available now. We're working on the final few of them for final release, but certainly the one, Kathy, that shows the multiplier, number of people times the multiplier, that's available right now on our site.
Okay. Thank you. Where are you based out of? Because I did have a question. Maybe there's an opportunity because somebody wants to know what you're doing on Saturday night. So maybe that could have been a little tongue in cheek, but
Oh, that's good.
yeah, exactly. Well, I'm
I,
not.
I love those type of questions, Kathy.
Well, we've got somebody's
Uh,
attention anyhow.
yeah.
Well, I'm not seeing any further questions come in. Mark, this has been a fascinating um, 5 webinars on a 4-part series. If part 6 gets released, please let us know, and we would be happy to um, provide you with another platform to educate our advisors. Um, John Hancock it has always been very important to Agency One and to BSMG and to BUA. We've got great partners at John Hancock, and we very much appreciate the service and the dedication that your organization has shown to us and our colleagues and all of our advisors. So thank you for that.
Thank you. We appreciate the partnership, Kathy. It means a lot to us as well. And certainly there's other stories. If you all want to hear more, we've got plenty to say, as you know.
Thank
So
you.
happy to help.
And I'm going to turn this over to Lisa now to talk about what Agency One has coming in the next few weeks.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for attending, and thank you so much for Mark. This series has been super informative and really, really well regarded. So thanks so much. Let's see, we've got one more webinar in September, and that's September 30th at 3 p.m. And that's with one of our strategic partners, CCB Commonwealth Capital Brokerage. Their webinar is about life settlement, current trends and market updates. The speakers are Drew Griffo and Steve Ruggieri, both of whom are partners at CCB. And then for October, our first one is October 9th, and that's at 3 p.m. Eastern Time with Prudential. And that is titled Mirrored Loans and Collateralized Lending. And the speaker is Michael Connell, CLU, CHFC, and Director of Advanced Planning. Please note that this webinar will not be recorded and the slides will not be available to any of the registrants or the attendees afterwards. So you'll need to attend the webinar for all of this information. And then on October 28th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, we have a webinar with Principal. It's a business solutions overview, how to stand out in the small business market. The speaker is Patty Bell, CPA, CLU, and AVP of Advanced Solutions. So be on the lookout for invitations to those webinars and ways to register. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Lisa. Mark, again, on behalf of Agency One and BSMG and BUA, thank you so much for your time and for educating us on the B.O.S. System that is offered by John Hancock. Folks, we're entering fourth quarter. If there is anything that Agency One can do for you or BSMG or BUA, please reach out to your relationship, whoever is overseeing your relationship at any of these firms, and they will be happy to help you. We are motivated, just like you are, to do everything that we can to help you end the year strong. So with that, I thank you for your time. And again, Mark, and to our friends at John Hancock, thank you. And this concludes our webinar. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.